Welcome to the Sight Shift Podcast. We love helping leaders lead for impact, not validation. Hi, my name is Chris McAllister. From scrappy startups to $50 billion companies and everything in between, we help you navigate the challenges of leadership and the challenges of our day to find the way forward. For the next series in this podcast, we're going to be looking at what it means to bring the full impact of the human to bear on this most radical technology called AI, or artificial intelligence. I look forward to hearing from you and what you learn from this series. You can always find more at SightShift, SIGHT shift.com. Peace.
Well, welcome into the Sight Shift Podcast, everyone. So good to have you along for another episode. As I say every time, he's Chris, I'm Mark. We're in the middle of talking about AI. I know it's a topic that nobody else is talking about, but we thought it'd be fun to talk
about. Boo, boo.
Channeling some college graduate energy there, are you? So we're in the middle of this topic that everybody is talking about. And we have a take that nobody's talking about it in the way that they should be talking about it. We're following along a book that, as we record this, is nearing completion for publication.
Yeah, days away.
By the time this episode will be released, it should be out there. As soon as we have a physical copy to show you, we certainly will. The working title is The 3% Shift.
Yep.
And the subtitle is escaping me.
Yeah, The Human Edge in the Age of AI.
There we go. Yeah. So as in this series past, we're walking through the book. We're pulling out content from the book, but also introducing content that we can explore a little further that didn't make it in the book, or we can double click on it. That's what we're doing today, or through this series, continuing on. So AI, everybody's talking about it. Here's the thing that I've been saying to help kind of make sense of it for myself and also for people that I'm talking with. That it's an amplifier. Mm-hmm. And I've used the analogy, and can't recall if I've shared it on the podcast because I've used it a bunch of times, but it's like if you're a guitar player and you're not very good and you plug yourself into an amp, you just are not very good on a louder level. And
we all know it.
And we all know it. That's what you added earlier. So in a sense, there is an amplification effect. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to start today's episode with the amplification effect of looking to take a shortcut in the leading process that now is even easier with AI as a technology. But the insecurity is wanting to take a shortcut in getting to where you want to go, or what we might describe as solving a problem, so to speak, in an organization, and now being able to do that on almost like on light speed with AI. I wonder if there's an example, a story that comes to mind from your vast repertoire and library of where you've seen a leader want to take the shortcut, even utilizing AI, even with the grand scheme of things, it's an infancy, right? And it's in its life and application and the way that we're using it today, where you've seen somebody take a shortcut using AI that now is available.
Well, I had one in mind, and now a funnier one is just hitting my mind from something this morning. And I'll answer it, but I also want to flip a question back to you that we can come back around to if we remember, just because I'd be curious to hear from your world, where are you most surprised that someone cares or is like paying attention to AI? Because, in my home, having two recent college graduates within the last year and one who's will be a junior next year, they definitely have that boo energy. Like, we were sitting on the patio Sunday night, daughter, boyfriend, whoever was all out there. And we were just talking about music. We're playing music. And I was like, oh, man, there's this really great album I like, and they really got their love of indie music from me. My daughters, they were like, oh, we knew about stuff before our friends did, and I was like, yeah, there's this new album and I love it, and they're like, but it's AI, and I'm like, who cares? It's great. Oh no, like it's an immediate no from them. And so that's why I'm just curious. To
I
hear
have
your
a story.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'll remember where I'm headed.
Yeah, just a couple days
Yeah.
ago, we were hanging with some friends, long time friends. Hadn't seen them in a number of months. We hosted them for dinner, and because it's front and center,
Yeah.
he and I are always talking about relevant topics of the times.
Yeah.
Didn't take long, particularly because of where we live, for AI to like minutes into our conversation. But what was interesting to me stepping out of it is based on their wiring, he is very concerned about how this is going to go wrong. And she, listening to some of the stories of how we've implemented it here or what my son is doing in his side business, she was like, I'm so encouraged by how it's being used positively.
Yeah.
She wanted to index on the positive because
Yeah.
she sees a lot of the negative.
Sure.
And he was indexing on the negative because this could go wrong for society. We're not ready. That's the phrase you and I have been using. That was just a couple nights ago. So watching him lean in one way, her lean in another way, they both care.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And I think that we probably can't state this enough. If you're paying for the free version, and you're seeing the hallucination, you're interacting with a stupid version.
Yeah.
If you're trying to master prompts, you're in kindergarten. If you're developing an agent, you're at college level. If you're actually developing like a self-evolving intelligent system, like that's the frontier edge. That's where you see the stuff that to me haunts me. I'm like, wait. And I've never had a thing that I've paused so much on. Our use of it, my use of it, this book, should we really put it out? Does, all the stuff. So, but what comes to mind, the shortcut? I don't mind referencing this on the podcast. I want to verify it. I'm not putting this in the book, but I'll verify this before I ever build it into a keynote. But I know the likelihood is high. So I think the big thing in the news, even just from outside of scope of personal stories, is, one of the leaders at Anthropic was at the Vatican. I think it was the Vatican, presenting like we're seeing human-like evolving and emotion and whatever. And there's a lot to unpack there. And we're going to make some arguments in the book that I think aren't being made. But the humorous point to me on this is the Catholic Church has developed like this treatise, basically. And early indications are, as people are digging through it, AI helped write it, which to me is like smart on whatever Cardinal was like, Claude Cowork folder, our answer to AI. And yeah, that's a shortcut. And it can be a bad shortcut or a good shortcut. And it just depends on everything we'll dig into in this series on the podcast. But it's going to get wilder out there.
Yeah.
It's going to get wilder.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. The shortcut is just much easier.
Yeah.
Because the tool makes it much faster and it is so good.
Yeah.
Like to your point, you and I see some dumb things. Like, why can't you remember that? Why am I reminding you of this again? But particularly you at the edges where you're playing like the brilliance of the intelligence, the synthesis of the information, it's phenomenal.
I showed my wife. She's the first person I've showed bleeding edge, like where I get critiqued by what I've developed and built in mine. I showed it to her like Saturday or Sunday. I printed it out and I was studying it for something and we're just catching up and I'm like, just read a few lines here. I have 5 pages. Just read a few lines. She couldn't believe it. Like, it was like, I can't believe that this is not a human writing this. And we make some arguments that we'll get into in this series that there's going to be a real differentiation here really fast on who does good work and who doesn't. Because, it just like you said, and I love it, it's the amplifier. It's going to amplify what's already there. And what for a lot of people, they don't know that they're doing when they chase this as a shortcut, it's just going to amplify bad thinking or bad work.
Yep.
And you're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see a ton of that. And it's a lot like, I saw this and I love this. You're going to see a lot of books written by AI. They're going to be slop. They're going to be crap. It's not world-class, masterful knowledge that is worth reading the book for. And then so Barnes and Noble recently came out and was like, we're going to sell those books. We're just going to make sure we put written by or assisted by AI.
So when I go into Barnes and Noble next, there will be an AI section.
I mean, is it an AI section because it's AI?
Yeah, right.
About AI, or it's assisted by AI? And what I think is flawed about that approach for Barnes and Noble, it to me is going to be such a short shelf life, because as things get better, I have never opened a book ever that said this, written on a typewriter. I just want to confess that. I want to let everybody know. I'm just being honest. I'm disclosing this. I punched a key that put an imprint on a page. This was assisted by a typewriter. Much more so, this was assisted by a computer, and it helped me with the grammar and the editing. You just wouldn't put that. You'd be like, that's stupid. Yeah, we all know that. The next edge of this is going to be messy for a while, and you're going to, people that shouldn't be able to put a whole book together are going to put whole books together. And people that should are going to put out amazing things assisted by it. It's going to amplify their voice, their process, their thinking, just like you're saying. But I don't, it's not going to matter. Every book will be assisted by AI in a couple years. We're seeing the development of it. I want to say like 3 to 6 months, So this idea that you're going to find the shortcut, if it's bad work, it's going to be bad work still.
So it begs the question for me, and I imagine for the audience too, like what is it for the human? What is the human to do? How can the human be at the human's best? What can only the human do that AI can't do, certainly can't do today? Who knows what the future is going to look like? But that's kind of the position that you're taking in this book, is that there is a place for the human that only the human can fill. And I'd love for you to just pull out the framework that you propose.
Yeah.
I think this will be the first time in the podcast series here where we're introducing the framework, and then we'll double click as we go on each of these. But using the framework, answer the question, what is it that the human can do, that only the human can do?
Yeah. And this idea came how most of my ideas have come. Like, coaching should be built around identity first. We should measure identity. It's identity fears. It's the identity mission community paradigm we use and figure that shift out. It's the validation check. All of these things hit like lightning. It's like you're wrestling with this problem and you're turning it over and you're looking at all these angles, and there's a slow distilling where the cream is coming to the top. And that can be little microturn, but then boom, a lock-in occurs. And I remember where I was standing, because I'd been wrestling a lot and because been playing with AI aggressively for a few years. I mean, I loaded like 4 years of journals into it a year and a half ago and was like, oh, this sees me. I mean, this is profound. And so I was standing there and I stress tested it, and we've been working on it for a while. But it's 3 capacities. Now, as I walk through these, and I argue this in the book, and I close near the end of the book to say, the tools are only going to get better, and they're going to give the appearance of being able to do these 3 things. The first is this: an imagination, an experiential knowing. When you live in something so deeply and that generative pull down the creativity, prophetic type insight occurs, bam, idea. Most people think that leadership, most of the conversations I see about leadership really aren't leadership, because leadership, once something can be verified, it's not leadership. Once there's data, it's not leadership. Leadership is leading people to an unseen, unyet imagined reality. And someone is imagining that it could be true and then leading towards that. And so we're anchoring everything around timeless concepts because that's what will stick for thousands and thousands of years. It's true, and it'll still be true, and it'll be true tomorrow. And this first word is gnosko. And it was the Greek concept for an experiential knowing. Mm-hmm. It is not a technical knowledge. I could have a technical knowledge of how the camera and light works and the audio or whatever. But I also know, I experientially know when I'm in the zone, in a flow state navigating. I could have the technical knowledge of the presentation, but I don't have the imagination for what it could be like. Now, Naval Ravikant just recently on a podcast, he's the guy behind Angel List, tons of startup influence, recently was like, AI can't come up with ideas, and that kind of went viral. My AI comes up with ideas all the freaking time. Was that your AI agent that requested the protocols I have built? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So somehow through the process of whatever the briefing was and just being made aware of things. But mine are very, very developed, and I've put a lot of time and thought into what it looks like. And it was co-created with AI too. Mm-hmm. I mean, you probably saw it and were like, there's no way Chris came up with this on his own. But that's the idea. It's amplifying how I can work at the edge of my imagination. It does come up with ideas. But it doesn't have that rare prophetic, this is the unseen reality we need to move towards at that bleeding edge. That's the difference the human makes. And that's the first piece of the model. Well, you're going to have tons of people in your work life, in your leadership life, that are a repository of ideas. There is a wiring that is an idea type person, and I have that wiring, but it doesn't mean that they're good ideas. So you have to have the human capacity to imagine. Then you have to have the second part of the model, which I'm using the word phronesis. And this was an important word for Aristotle, because he was arguing this is the chief virtue. And he said the young can't have it because they don't have enough reps. And it's not an ageist comment at all. It's just that it's not a surface level wisdom. It's a hard fought for wisdom. So there are terrains that you can put me in and I have no phronesis. So if the brick here was starting to seriously degrade, I could have a surface level knowledge. Hey, I'm seeing a little daylight come through this brick. That's an issue. I have no phronesis, hard fought for wisdom. Is this wall savable? Does it have to be dismantled? Does it have to be rebuilt? Whatever, all the million ways I could illustrate that. Well, we all have whatever our purpose in life is. If we're really locked in on that, we start to develop phronesis. We start to develop this deep terrain knowledge where we know the difference between the real territory and what the map says. Now, the way the internet talks about this today, people will say taste, judgment. Mm-hmm. AI doesn't have that. AI doesn't have this ability to go, not this, but this, these little subtleties. And I would say it will get better at that. Mine is getting better at that. And now the way that I interact with it, I'm like, okay, what are your top 3 recommendations? What's your number 1 choice and why? I'm seeing it exercise great taste and discernment and judgment. And so it's going to happen more. However, the AI can't show up at the meeting. This is a real life from SiteShift. The AI can't show up at the meeting and say, hey, the strategic plan that I wanted to be true for our organization in 25 was wrong. It didn't work. Here's what I missed. And we need to pull back for a minute and catch our breath before we try to launch into the next one. and solve this key critical problem, which is what we're working on solving, the way we're talking about it in terms of attention. That's phronesis. But my name is on it. You can't sit in a leadership meeting and go, well, my Claude tools told me to do this. There's no stakes there. And so that shift where the edge is somebody saying, I'll put my name on this. And that's huge. And we're going to have that. How do we have accountability? How do we have growth? You only grow if your back's against the wall and there's real stakes and you win or lose. And what's happening for a lot of people when they chase that shortcut, they're going to offload that discernment to their AI, and it's going to amplify back whatever their insecurities are. Whatever shortcuts you chase when you're most insecure, without awareness, you're going to train your AI to chase those shortcuts. So I'm going to chase shortcuts like I'm going to scatter energy across 100 ideas. So my AI is trained to absolutely go nuclear and annihilate and destroy that idea, because that's the only way my best thinking emerges. I'm probably just fire hosing a ton. I'll stop before I go into the third one.
No, keep going, and then I want to circle us back because I have a number of thoughts.
Okay, so we could just think about it in terms of imagination to see what is unseen, discernment, what is wise. I mean, wisdom is developed over time. That's what Aristotle was arguing. And the third component the model's built around is koinonia. What's shared in common? It's the depth of relationship. And what's crazy is if you train it, if you really develop not just prompting, not just agentic, but this evolving centralized intelligence, it remembers more than I ever could. What it serves up to me in terms of memory. And the way that the relationship to that intelligence evolves is measurable. Mm-hmm. But it can't forgive me. Mm. And I can't forgive it. And so the way I think about it is the AI is going to remember, but the human capacity to relate are the scars that heal. And so the real depth of a human being changed is only possible when you have like a safe, deep friendship where there are no secrets. And they don't high-five your dysfunctions, and they don't allow you to hide, and they don't shame you either into a perpetual flagellation of how you suck and how you should be better. It's an organic, living connection. It's koinonia. It's what's shared in common. And it's that shared human space that I think is going to be more important and valuable than ever. And I think that the way that we interact with the technology, it's going to help us develop a shared appreciation, a development of this is what really matters. It's the human. Because a lot of work in the knowledge field, in the middle class field, in the white collar field, at the computer field is gone. Now, it'll take a while for that to roll through the market, but all of that stuff that people got meaning from and validation from is gone very quick here, and it's going to be theater. Who cares that you did a 47 slide deck? That's doable. Oh my gosh, they thought about this more than anybody ever has. No, the AI can do that. Can you distill it down to one page? And then how does that relate to or connect to the deeper way we serve our clients? Relationship. The deeper way we serve as a team. Relationship, marriage, family, whatever. You could apply it anywhere. So you're going to then build what lasts. And what lasts isn't the 47 slide deck. What lasts is the shared space between us, the relationship. So what we're trying to do is articulate this and put this out there to give a guiding reference point. Because if you don't have this in your mind, you're going to fall into creating an AI that just mirrors your insecurities, and you're going to lose your way. And that happens when big technologies emerge. When big technologies emerge, we lose our way as humans. We still haven't gained our way back from social media auto scroll videos. Yeah. It made us more tribalized. That's why the reason college kids are booing at commencement speeches is, yes, because their jobs are threatened, but also because how has tech made their lives better, right? They've seen their grandparents like become ideologically rabid around politics. And all of these things are going to get worse. I believe it'll probably be net negative. At least we can help some people that want to find their way to the real difference a human makes. It's a lot there. It's a book.
That's why you wrote the book. The sense that I'm having right now in this conversation is, and I can tend to, without awareness, without some constraint, glass half empty and leaking, that can tend to be my disposition. But the sense that I'm having right now is that while the technology makes so much easier, it seems like it's going to make being fully human harder.
Powerful.
Because the temptation is going to be to lean into the technology, let the technology outsource what's really incumbent upon the human to do, or just check out because relationships are messy, relationships are harder. The AI can feign doing or simulate doing. Maybe that's a better way to say it. Each of these three, I'd love for you to kind of tease that out too. Like what the AI looks like when it's trying to imagine, trying to discern, trying to build. It can be easier to just let that happen, which means it's likely going to be harder for us to be fully human and experience the fullness and the blessing and the greatness of what it means to be human.
Life has beauty and suffering in it, all of that. And the richness of the human experience is to go through that and become a better version of who you are, a better human. It forms or deforms you. And we want to help you cooperate with the forming, not the deforming. Now, for a little window, we're just going to have people that are doing things like, literally one of my daughters told me about one of her friends' boyfriends. He's an analyst. And I'm going to protect a lot of the details. I mean, doesn't matter. But basically, he now can get an 8-hour day's work done in 2 hours. And so he's got a technology that this is out there where his mouse doesn't move, but it looks like it's moving. So for the overlord's tracking, it looks like he's working. So what he's doing now is the dumb theater of making 8 hours look like it's real work when he's getting it done in 2 hours because of AI. That's going to exist for a short time. That'll get rooted out. I mean, everybody's going to figure that out. That's gone and done pretty quick. You are going to have people who work from home and order DoorDash and are going to develop deep relationships with their AI that's going to be symbiotic in their mind. They're going to experience it that way. It's not really. And, they're just going to go deeper and deeper into that rabbit hole. I'm not even commenting on that in the book, just because that's not my place, not my voice, not my lane. I think that's an issue. I'm trying to just articulate how do we become better humans through the process as leaders. And so the worse, better. The imagining. Like, AI will not solve the hardest problems where you're imagining something that should exist. So this goes to your purpose and your mission. Howard Thurman talked about this idea that in his book, I think it was Jesus and the Disinherited, really powerful on how understanding that there's this persistent and systemic persecution that occurs when people are pushed out. And so he's talking about purpose and mission, and the whole idea is don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive. The quicker you can kind of really start to figure out what's my sense of purpose and mission in the world, not because I'm trying to lead for my own validation and get an identity from that, but it's like the thing that I want to wake up and fix, the thing that I want to solve for. And you know, my obsession is how to build better engineering for water-powered dams. Psych! I know jack about all that. My obsession is how do leaders lead for impact when they're most insecure? So that's what I'm thinking about all the time. So that's where my imagination is going to be most activated. You don't have to know that with laser clarity at 22 or 37 and at 53. I mean, mission is an unfolding reality more than it's a problem to be solved. But I am looking at where am I most activated? Because that's the thing about AI. You can spend your time. I could build any app.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, I could, through iMessage, dictate to my AI any specific thing I want done, and it'll have it done. No matter how hard it is. Even if it's super hard and it's like, that'll take 4 hours, it'll probably take 27 minutes.
Yep.
If it's like going to take 2 hours, it'll take 7 minutes. Whatever its calculation on time is overestimated.
It's off.
Yeah. So that the deforming that's going to happen for a lot of people is their energy is going to scatter across so many things. And you really want, it's a tale as old as time. Why are you here? What's your purpose? What are you trying to make better in the world? That's never going to go away. It doesn't matter to me what the gloomers say. I know there's a doomer position that, the positive people would say that it's going to erase the need for work, and how they're trying to relanguage universal basic income to universal basic wealth just to trick you that you share in it. It's not going away that we need purpose and mission, but we need to imagine what does it look like to live that purpose and mission. And this could be somebody who's staying at home and raising their kids. This can be building an organization. The cultivation of your ability to go within and discover things about yourself, the AI can't serve that up to you. It can be a sparring partner if you train it right. And the deforming is going to happen if you train it in your insecurities and it just mirrors back. That is a great idea. You should start your own business because it's easier for you to go start your own business than learn how to, in a politically savvy way, shift your partner's perception of why you should go into that new business area. You know, or you should go start the thing, but you're going to hide from that, right? Doesn't matter. That's the forming and deforming on the imagination. I could hit the other two, but
let's keep going because again, the tool is going to. I mean, what we're experiencing isn't what's being cooked up in the lab.
Yeah.
The tool is going to look like it can do these things.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the imagination. What does it look like in the discerning camp?
The discerning is going to be like, I'm still, maybe I'll stop being surprised by this at some point. I'm still surprised by how far it's evolved, even in the last 3 months, where it can go comprehensively grab any illustration or business or leadership stories. Like, here's the problem I'm facing. Go find this problem across all business leadership and literature. I mean, it's got this comprehensive knowledge. Or just if I give it a specific parameter, companies like this that face this, what are the stories that are out there? What are the case studies? What are they facing? And so what we're going to find is you already have this problem of like a business magazine puts a business on the cover. Well, that's really survivorship bias. They made it. But they don't really know why they made it. Jim Collins talks a lot about this, when you don't know why you were successful, and then you just say, well, these are the reasons. And really, you just got lucky on something, and you don't know what you got lucky on. Here's the way I would say it. More than ever, you're going to have to figure out how to not make someone else's truth your truth. So Christopher Columbus, if he's like, look, I know there's land there. We're not going to fall off the planet. I'm going to go. I want you to fund this. And I know you could bring all the other examples, whatever. There's tons of stuff here. There was a putting a stake on a claim. I am going to go find the way forward on this. So your imagination that's shaping your purpose shifts to, I'm going to go find this wisdom, however I got to go find it. It is the pearl of great price, and I'm going to give everything I can to get it. And so right now, like any problems we face at SiteShift, if a business contacted us today, they could give us their problem, and we could give them a dozen custom specific case studies. When other businesses have faced this, they did this, but it could be the wrong move for them. So we're going to have a whole lot of people having to learn how to find that internal compass. What's the right action with the right motive for me where I am right now? That's the hard fought for wisdom. And the deforming that's going to happen is people are going to waste a lot of time and energy not figuring out their hard fought for wisdom. The forming that's going to happen is you become your own self-possessed leader who's learning how to draw from your team and others and discern out what is the noise and what is the signal. That's the forming, deforming. It's going to be huge. And I want my competitors to use it, because the awareness that they're going to bring to the tool is nowhere near where my awareness is going to be on how it will insecurely mirror back what I want validated. So go chase 17 trails that aren't going to end where you think they will. Now, I don't really mean that. I believe in the reality that we can all flourish. But it is true.
Yeah.
It is true. They're going to lose their way, and they're not going to have hard fought for wisdom.
Yeah. Okay. So then the third one, what does that look like simulated?
Yeah, it's so a CEO goes into their leadership meeting, and they have all the information and data and knowledge about everybody's life. And Mary, how was your dad's surgery? Boom, boom, boom. Roll down the line. They're going to look like, if they put time and attention into it, and intention into it, they're going to look like the most caring, thoughtful leader ever. But something shows up in the way that Bill expresses a concern, and it's bleeding into an issue in his life personally. And that wasn't in the briefing. That wasn't in the preparation. And they get irritated and insecure, and they power up a little bit, and they force through an issue, and they shut Bill down. And that leader later has a little flicker of quiet in their soul. I should follow up with Bill, not to make sure he likes me, but to make sure that he doesn't feel run over by me. I think of The Office when James Spade, whatever his name is, he was being interviewed to be the new manager. Robert California was his name on the show. And Jim was like, some are concerned you may steamroll them, because he had such a powerful, charismatic presence. He's like, do you feel steamrolled now? That leader exists. And this is just one example. We could give very clear pictures of 8 others based on the identity fears. They've got to come back to Bill and say, Bill, I'm sorry. And repair that tear. Or Bill phones it in and turns in a half-cooked report and isn't willing to put his name on it. And it looks like something that came through an AI tool that's full of drivel. And Bill has to be confronted for that. And Bill goes, you're right. My wife and I are getting a divorce. I skimped on the time I should have put in on this, and I'm sorry. Well, the AI will never forget that if it's recording the meeting. And it's going to flag for every meeting going forward. Watch for Bill to skimp on his work. But it's the human that says, I forgive you. That sounds like that's really hard. How can I get some more resources to support you? How can we be there for you in this moment? AI isn't going to change lives like that. So forming, deforming on koinonia.
Yeah, it's so good. The last thing I want to get to, and I'll go first, give you a chance to catch your breath.
I don't need it, but go ahead.
Okay. Get a drink.
Boo.
Calm yourself down. It is, of the 3, where are you? Where am I most likely to get tripped up? Lean too much into the AI and what it can do versus do the hard work to do what's ours to do. And I think as I examine the 3, I mean, I'm susceptible in all 3 places, right? This is why you put the guardrails into your AI tool to don't just let me do these things, constraints. But if I'm being honest, the hardest one for me is the imagine. And without awareness, insecure, looking to phone it in or get a long way down the path, I can lean into the tool and be like, well, just tell me which idea is the best idea to be imagining and playing with, the best vision to go after, or help me decide which of these, right? So it's a little bit of into the discernment too. But I think you know this about me. When there's direction, I can execute, I can operate, and I can navigate around. I think that's the best course here. And I do care deeply about relationships and building relationships. The hardest one for me, I think, though, where I'm most likely to lean too heavily on the AI, is give me the vision. Help give me the imagination. Because that's harder for me to sit in there and to do the work to both wrestle and posture in such a way to receive the lightning bolt, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think the fact that you already know that, it's everything we're trying to teach in this series, which is massive. And I think if you were like super strong on it, we wouldn't be the team that we are.
Yeah.
And I know you appreciate all that, but I can remember something. So our nonprofit, you had an imaginative idea about who could lead that in the future. This was like a year ago when you said it, and I was like, I think that's going to be perfect. I mean, I want it now, and timing hasn't worked out yet. But like, that was you pulling down that prophetic insight of like, this seems like this would be a great idea. And I think the way that I would say this is, the AI wasn't going to serve that up to you.
Yeah.
It wasn't. The AI may not even registered it as a problem to work on.
Yep.
And so now if you would have gone to the AI and said, here's the problem, scan across the resources we have, the quality people leaders, give me your top 3 and your number 1 recommendation and why, then it could have gotten there. I believe it would have gotten there. But you imagined it to ask that. So that's the idea. And so I just love the way that you walk through that, knowing yourself. But there's still going to be moments, that happens for you. And then the AI can assist that rather than amplifying the insecurity.
Yep.
And so for me, I mean, I'd be curious what you think. I would believe this is accurate. We can do this live and on air. Mark knows I wouldn't really feel threatened by it. I honestly think for me, it's the koinonia. Like, I'm going to be there on the imagination, and then I'm going to, I think in terms of systems and structure. I've developed that ability to kind of like bake out, what work really takes. I don't know if you've seen this, but how CEOs are the most delusional about AI. Why? Because they don't know the work it takes to get it done, right? If we sell a large enterprise deal, the CEO can see it on one page and be like, I'm in. But the operations team needs more build out. And so I appreciate it, but I still forget, Brett, a member of our leadership team a few weeks ago, was like, Chris, this takes longer than you think, and I have to remind myself of that some. I forget it some, but for the most part, I remember it. For me, it's more like, hey, if the vision is in place and we're making the effective, discerning, wise choices around it, everybody's going to be there relationally. And usually the things that are on my to-do list that I'm going to not give the attention to that I need to are, what are those little things popping up relationally where I'm concerned that I need to schedule a lunch? Not necessarily with you because we have regular times of connection, but other people in the orb of my world and my influence. So mine would be that the AI would have such perfect systems that I would never miss a relational cue or signal. And that would deform me. What do you think? Is that a good take on it?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm recalling a number of times where I've offered an idea in a relational context, and you're like, oh yeah, that's a good one. I wouldn't have thought of it that way. And again, it's not that you don't care.
Yeah.
It's just the other things are more front and center, running hard and fast toward the thing.
Yeah, yeah. That's the greatest way I can make sure there is something of substance for us to all even be able to care for each other with.
Yeah.
But it can falsely say that's a spillover. And yes, it does flow out of, but it still needs attention.
Yeah.
Still needs attention.
Yep.
Which is why it's a part of the model.
Right.
Because if it were just a Chris model, the whole book would be just be about imagination, half baked on discernment.
Yep.
And the world doesn't need that.
Yeah. We need more of that ancient wisdom.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's fully cooked, as you like to say. It's a fully cooked chicken dinner.
Yeah. It's something that can substantively feed you, guide you, nourish you. And we have that in the model. Not because we say so, but because it's worked for thousands of years.
Because the Greeks said so.
Yeah, because the Greeks said so.
All right. Well, we're off and running on AI, on the book. Like I said at the top, we'll have a physical copy to show you as soon as we have it in our hands. We're excited about that resource. Jumping the gun a little bit just because it's so timely to start the conversation now. And we'll keep it going with the next episode. In the meantime, we have a research paper, a white paper out that you can find on the website, siteshift.com. I think it's at /resources. But a white paper that's like the first step of the concepts in print before the book is actually fully published. You can find that on the website. If you're ready, if you're hungry, if you're looking for more and you don't want to wait for the next episode or for the actual book in hand, you can go to siteshift.com and find it there. And of course, in the meantime, we'll be prepping for the next episode. We'll have that queued up here in a bit. And any last thoughts?
Yeah, I would say if you get into the white paper, push against the model, stress test it. And there's an academic veracity behind it. There's a timeless wisdom behind it, and both of those elements are there, but it's your own experience that matters also. And push against it, figure out where you're wrong.
Yes. Love it. Okay, well, that's all we got for this episode. We'll be back with another one here soon. Until then, take care.